Saw Gerrera isn't just another rebel fighting the Empire. He's something else entirely. He's a warrior who never stops, a leader who doesn't trust anyone, and a man who sacrificed everything for a cause he refuses to let go of. And for fans of Andor, he's one of the most fascinating, unpredictable figures in the entire show. But here's the thing, there's so much more to his story than what we've seen so far. With Season 2 of Andor just around the corner, now is the perfect time to dive deep into what makes Saw Gerrera one of the most compelling and controversial figures in Star Wars. And by the end of this video, you just might look at him differently. Saw's journey has always been about war. He doesn't believe in democracy, he doesn't believe in waiting, and he definitely doesn't believe in playing nice with the rest of the rebellion. In Andor Season 1, we see this firsthand when Luthen tries to convince him to work with other rebel factions. But Saw's response? Pure paranoia. He refuses to trust anyone. Separatists, neo-republicans, partisan alliance, he dismisses them all as useless, lost in their own politics. To him, fighting the Empire is all that matters. It's not just an ideology, it's about survival. And that mindset is what makes him so dangerous, not just to the Empire, but to his own allies. But here's something a lot of fans don't realize. Saw wasn't always this way. Back in the days of the Clone Wars, he fought alongside his sister, Steela, and losing her changed everything. Before, he was passionate and willing to listen. After her death, he became the Saw we know today, hardened, distrustful, and willing to do whatever it takes to win. In a way, Andor shows us a man who's still carrying that pain years later. He's not just paranoid for no reason, he's seen what happens when you trust the wrong people, and now he's incapable of seeing anyone as an ally. And that's what makes his interactions with Luthen so fascinating. Because for all of Saw's paranoia, Luthen is one of the only people who actually understands him. Luthen doesn't just sugarcoat anything. He tells Saw straight up that he's sacrificing an entire rebel cell to protect their movement from the Empire. And what's Saw's reaction? At first he's suspicious, but then he accepts it, because deep down he believes in the same thing. Sacrifices have to be made. He even says it himself. Let's call it war. In that moment, we see exactly why Saw is so terrifying. He's not some madman blowing things up for the sake of chaos. He sees the bigger picture, and he's completely at peace with the idea that winning means getting his hands dirty. This is also why he's such a perfect contrast to Cassian Andor. Cassian's whole journey in Season 1 is about figuring out where he stands in this fight. He's seen the cruelty of the Empire, but he's also seen how ruthless the rebellion can be, and Saw represents the extreme version of that. If Cassian keeps going down this path, does he eventually become someone like Saw? Someone who sees every ally as a liability? Someone who stops caring about morality altogether? It's not just a question for Cassian, it's a question for us as viewers. At what point does rebellion turn into something just as brutal as the thing it's fighting against? And Andor doesn't just give us any easy answers. Now with Season 2 right around the corner, there's a lot of speculation about where Saw's story is heading. We already know that by the time of Rogue One, he's even more broken physically and mentally. He's an outcast. So what happens in Season 2 that pushes him even further? We might finally see the moment when Mon Mothma and the rest of the rebel leadership cut ties with him completely. In the timeline, that happens about 2 years before A New Hope, when the Alliance decides that Saw is too extreme, too unpredictable. Maybe we'll see a mission where Saw takes things too far. Maybe civilians get caught in the crossfire. Maybe he turns on his own allies. Or maybe the Empire delivers a devastating blow to his forces, leaving him broken and even more isolated. There's also the question of how he gets his injuries. By Rogue One, he's barely holding himself together, breathing through a mask and relying on cybernetic limbs. Could Season 2 show us the battle that cost him his body? Could Cassian be there when it happens? Maybe he even tries to save Saw, only to realize that some people don't want to be saved. One thing's for sure, Saw Gerrera is going to be a major force in Andor Season 2. He's the chaos factor, the rebel who won't follow the rules, the man who makes everyone around him question how far they're willing to go. And as the war against the Empire escalates, he's only going to become more of a problem for the rebellion, for Cassian, and maybe even for himself. Because as much as Saw thinks he's in control, history tells us that war will eventually consume him. But until then, he's not backing down. And that's what makes him one of the most compelling characters in Star Wars. So what do you think? Is Saw Gerrera a necessary evil in the fight against the Empire? Or is he a warning sign of what happens when rebellion goes too far? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you want more deep dives like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thank you very much for watching. As always, we would be honored if you would join us.